Nissan truck coming in. Just want to take a look around.
I'm just recording audio of this.
Copy. Yeah, go ahead. About 5 minutes for me.
You just got here like
Just like you.
About 4 days.
4 days you've been out here?
Yeah. Just about four days from Northern California.
You came from Northern California?
I met people from almost every state in the Union here.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we're from St. George, Utah. We just heard about it and came down. What do you think is going to happen?
Don't know.
Prevail? We're going to prevail?
Well,
Nobody wants to give up their freedom rights. Nobody wants to get pointed at them.
For sure.
You know what I mean? There's been enough of this brutality and why would the IRS need SWAT teams or the BLM need SWAT teams? Why would they need that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they shouldn't have to go that route.
That's right. They shouldn't have to go that route.
this is spreading all over the whole United States, getting support from the whole, every state in the United States.
Yeah, it needs to.
And it's going to grow. People are waking up and now they're reacting.
This is our bread and butter right here. You know what I mean? This is what feeds us. How come we go and we pay millions of dollars to sports players to entertain us, and we starve our farmers and ranchers out? Why do we do that?
Yeah.
We take this, what's the one ball player that went down to Korea, sitting there with the Korea dictator?
The Asian basketball player, I figured his name.
Right, I don't follow him, but the fact of the matter is why would somebody want to do that when we have our food supply being shorted on us?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And then Monsanto wants to feed us all the synthetic stuff. Why would they want to do that? Why would any American want to do that?
We're talking about Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman.
Oh, Dennis Rodman.
No, he's a hero and Bundy's an enemy? Come on, really? Really?
Step out here in the sun.
Yeah.
There you go. I can see your face better. We gotta get you.
Yeah, Bundy's more of a hero than a terrorist. Like,
Right.
Reed wants you to believe.
Well, Reed is riddled with corruption. I mean, look at his whole career. Number one is Reed never joined the military services at all. Just like Obama. They never joined the military. And he's calling the militia that's legal, illegal militia, he's calling them terrorists.
He's calling you a terrorist.
Well, he's calling
You're a
everybody that's
domestic
gonna
terrorist.
join all of us. The Patriot
We're all.
Association.
You're a terrorist.
Right, we're terrorists. Right, we're terrorists.
Yeah, it's that state.
Yeah, very sad state.
I guess my ancestors have been terrorists.
He's the last rancher in Nevada. Oh no, I mean Clark County. BLM has already forced the others to actually sell out and leave, but he won't go. He's not
And if
gonna
it was
go.
the issue of the feeding or the Tauruses, how come where's their voice at? Where's the 52 others out there?
Are they here?
Yeah, everybody's wondering that because it's really not online in that. I think that needs to be sought out because they need retribution for having financial guns and regulations pointed at them saying, give us your property or else.
Yeah. They should be here.
You know, our Constitution gives a guarantee of our personal property also.
Right?
Who's going to pass that?
I agree.
What's your name?
It's like plastic.
What's your name? Don?
Which way did you come from?
We came that way originally.
Well, yeah, talk to the oath keepers down there. You might want to go there, and you're going down to the ranch. Turn off. They won't let you turn in there, but you stay on the main road and talk to the couple guards there. And who knows who might show up out the gate?
Right. Okay, guys.
And
Good luck.
These guys here, right up here, is the militia, and the ones over there is the oath keepers, and
Okay.
they're pretty
Awesome.
well got things covered there.
Sounds good.
And what's your name, sir?
Jesse.
Okay,
Jesse
Jesse.
Housel from Bundy, California. That's in northeastern Shasta County.
All right. Thank you so much.
So,
Sure.
Yeah, we're just curious. You know, it's been a week later. We're trying to get updated on the situation, see who's here, and how the situation's going.
Well, we'll give you an exclusive.
Awesome.
One that you don't know. Nobody knows yet because it's actually just got formulated today.
And what's your name,
What's going
sir?
on?
My name is Tim, and I'm with the Arizona First Pathfinders out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay. Go ahead.
And we just have a small contingent. We were there at the bridge when it went down. We were at the battle. What's happening? What came out today is we decided that there will be a gathering of militia. We're going to call all the militia in from all over the country, and we're going to do a parade then in Vegas.
Oh.
All right. Is there a date set yet?
Not no date set yet, but we're going to be talking about
it.
Yeah,
the Facebook page that's being built for.
No, all this stuff's coming. But we are going to actually. This just happened today. We had a documentary filmmaker that contacted us, and he said, "This is what we want to do." He says, if you guys will do this, help put this together, I will make sure that it gets on video, and we'll get the story out. See, this story has to be told. What happened?
How do they get hold of the militia, or what? Do you have a website, a foundation, anything?
Well, we'll have all that. We'll be getting all that together. People will see. We have other means of also getting the word. I'm just letting you know that this is going to happen about a month from now, sometime. Okay. But we're going to call everybody, all patriots from across the country, come to Vegas. We are going right now, just so you know, and if you don't believe me, you can go see. They are the BLM and DHS, and it is DHS, are both staged at the Marriott in Vegas.
Yes, sir.
Right now. They've got a bunch of cars. I mean, we're talking probably close to 400 agents right now are there in both the Marriott and in a hotel right across from it. Or next door, I guess it is. But how much is it? How much do you think a room costs in the Marriott?
Vegas is not cheap. At least I would say $50. I bet they're getting deals. If it's off the strip, $75 probably.
Not too bad. Okay, so I would think it'd be like it's a big hotel.
I think all the money they spent, they probably could have just paid for all the money they spent for
there's 400 agents in there right now, and we figure they're coming.
So how do you think this will really start? I heard all kinds of stories like solar panels, cattle.
We were given a story today by the same person that he's been involved in the as a BLM advisor for a great many years, 15 I think he said, and this all stems from they want to create all the conservancy groups. They want to create the Gold Butte River Conservancy, like wildlife refuge kind of thing through here.
Excuse me.
And it's all about their method of contributing to the end of the Second Amendment.
Aircraft, I know.
That's what it comes down to.
You know what I told him?
No, it doesn't. We thought it was a solar array.
I told him freckles.
This is actually the Gold Butte River, and that's what they're doing.
So a gun grab, you think?
It is part of it. Well, once they close this off to people, you can't come up here and use your gun anymore. Can't fire, can't shoot. It's all about taking, and they're doing this all over the country. They're running. You know, in Clark County there used to be 53 ranches.
I've heard that.
We talked to people today, and they say, "Oh yeah, right down the river over here, there were these people and the bunkers. They had a ranch, and these people had a ranch, and stuff like that." And they one by one, they've been run off by the BLM.
Have any of them been here? The ranchers, other ranchers?
Here?
Yeah.
Well, they're all in contact with the ones that are around with the Bundy family. A lot of the townspeople have come through, and so the bottom line is there's a lot of support for this whole thing that's going on, and the American people finally said, you know what, enough's enough. We're not going to get pushed around anymore. And a lot of people, you don't see this when you looked at the various videos out there. I was there on the bridge underneath. I was in the wash. And as a matter of fact, I was right within, from me to you, from the fence. And I saw what they were doing. BLM agents, they did not have their rifles at low ready. They didn't have it at high ready. They had it on. They were dead on, women and children.
Ready to fire.
Dead on ready. All they needed was go. Boom, 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 boom. That's what would have happened. Thank God it didn't.
Yeah.
But that's the truth. That was there. I can say it.
All right, guys.
They were
Appreciate
gonna
it.
kill people.
We're going to go down the road and get some more words.
Have fun.
All right, good luck.
Thank
We'll
you.
talk to
700 miles. And it was 41 hours of road time, not counting the stops, all that. I lost count of that. But
How'd you find out about this?
I went on Tuesday morning. I don't even know. It's just like the longest day, so I'm losing track of actual weeks. But what I did is on Tuesday morning, usually I get up and I watch the news or check something out, especially on Drudge. I go to that and see what's going on. And there was an article on this, and it aroused my curiosity. So I clicked on it. I read the article. And then down at the bottom, there were a number of little squares with pictures, and they had video and such on it. So what I did is I clicked on those and I watched all the videos and of Mr. Bundy talking, and then with his wife Carol, who's a sweetheart, and it just touched me. I knew I had to call him, so I asked my wife if she could find their number, because she's really good at that, and I'm not so good on the computer. And she did. She gave it to me, so I called him up, and Mr. Bundy, after a number of rings, answered the phone. So I just opened the conversation, asking him what was going on, you know. And then I got to the point of asking him, what can I do to help, you know? And he said, well, I need bodies. He goes, you can, you know, I just need bodies out here. I go, I'll leave Thursday.
At this point, what do you think the American people can do to help?
What the American people can do to help is, one, is they can call their representatives. They can call the governor of the state. They can call Harry Reid, and not that it'll do a whole lot of good calling Harry Reid, but they can call all the representatives, the sheriff out here in this community, and tell them that this is not good and this can't stand. I don't know if you've seen the videos that I went out and we dug up a bunch of the cattle that were shot. Well, you should see those. I've got them, and I was there yesterday. It was yesterday, I think, when we went out and dug them up, and it was a mass grave of cattle that the BLM slaughtered. I've got a couple others of a couple of their prize steers that they shot right between the eyes, up close range. And these are friendly steers. I mean, the cattle there are really friendly. And then they executed another one. Looks like they took an M16 and splattered them up. The one they shot between the eyes, they shot it while it was in a round pan, and there was no water trough or anything in there. And then they hooked it behind a vehicle, and how we found it was followed the drag marks, and they drug it about 1.25 miles out in the desert, because they didn't want that steer obviously laying where their work was. And so we found that one, and then the site of really the massacre of a bunch of their cattle. And the video is really graphic, so I apologize. The cameraman was vomiting, and the gal out there, and the other ones the gals were all crying, and it was horrific. And and that was right, probably 30 yards maybe behind the BLM main staging station, where they had all their comms and all their stuff set up. So it was right there, and so we dug those up. It was yesterday, and pulled some of them out. We didn't dig up the whole thing, but it was a mass grave. It looked like Auschwitz, something you'd seen the Nazis do in World War II. It was horrific. And I'm a Marine, and I've been a hunter, but I've never killed anything out of just for killing. But this was just killing, and which is wrong. So I think the people should go on in places like your website, or however you're putting this out in the media, and to the other ones, and really check the whole story. Not buy a lot of the things you see on the major media.
What do you think it's about? I hear a lot of things about solar panels, tortoises, grazing fees.
Well, the BLM says tortoises. Well, I was out there and I found their steer, the one that was way out in the boonies that they shot between the one that they riddled with machine gun shots. And I know the difference between a machine gun and a semi-automatic, but this was definitely a machine gun. Is like a fully automatic weapon. There was a tortoise nest out there, and we followed the tracks, and they backed right up over it, and they collapsed it. And so I'm
not, definitely not about the tortoises.
No, it's not about the tortoises. I mean, and they made a mess up the area on top. They broke all the water lines to all the troughs out there that the deer use.
I've seen those videos with the chum chucks.
And they cut the pipe, they cut the tanks up, which were camouflage painted so they blend in. So what I think this is about is usually there's money behind all of these big moves like this. And I talked to a number of other ranchers who are in a very similar predicament with the BLM, and they said that BLM has targeted them, the independent ranchers, not the corporate, but the independents, like Mr. Bundy and his family. And what they're doing is they're driving them out of business. And they think it's for the corporate ranches, so that the beef industry will be controlled by the corporate interests. And the solar things, I'm not quite sure, and I've heard that. And those are stories that people like you and others will be able to chase down. You can see I'm a pretty busy guy, so I don't have time to do all that research. But I actually do have people doing research on that, and because people are really wanting, because the story is so compelling. But what I think it's really about, I mean, if you cut through all of whatever the reasons are, it's the freedom of the American citizen. It's the freedom of an American to be able to go to work every day and not have people like us have to follow behind them armed up to the teeth, like 5 or 6 guys in the back of a truck and 2 in the front, chasing cowboys so they can go save the calves that the BLM left out without their mothers and to die. And and that we realized that Americans should be able to go to work without armed guards behind them, and to protect them from their government, and that Americans should be able to be in their yard with their children and their babies, playing in the water in their front yard without government snipers overhead and zooming in on them, which is the case, what happened. And it's about our freedom, it's about our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. It's about the freedom of Americans to be able to make their own choices, because the government has turned into a ruling class. Just exactly what we kicked out of here in 1775, 1776, is that was, if you go down the Declaration of Independence, you can go down and read each line of the complaints against the king, and they're not dissimilar from, if you adapt them to what the problems are today. And that's why the young people are having a hard time finding jobs, and if they find a job, they don't make enough money to support themselves on the whole. That's not those people's fault. That's because the government is inflated the dollar, but on everything, but mostly the working kids, working man's wages, and everything else has gone up. And they're protecting big business interests.
What would your response be to Harry Reid when he says that patriots are American terrorists?
I would ask him, and showing him that video of those cattle, and then maybe have Mrs. Bundy or one of the others tell their story about the snipers trained down on their children in their yard, little children, while they're trying to play in a little brook by their house, is who really is the terrorist? Who's been pointing guns at who first? Who started this? And why couldn't they just come over to the Bundy's house? Why didn't Harry Reid come to the Bundy's house and de-escalate this thing in the beginning and go, look, I represent you. But he doesn't represent them. He doesn't represent the interests of the state. He's representing something else. And he's not the only one. And it's not the Democrat-Republican issue, because a lot of them do that on both sides of the aisle. It's not just the Democrats. The Republicans are as guilty in their own ways. And I would say that he is a domestic terrorist. The head of the BLM up in Washington, the director of that, is a domestic terrorist. The head of the agriculture is a domestic terrorist, because the BLM works under the Secretary of Agriculture. And this didn't come down from these guys who just happened to be driving by and the BLM decide they're going to set up a SWAT team type of attack. Actually, I think those were private operators that they might have hired immediately and brought him into the BLM. And I'm a pretty wise guy, and I know something when I see it, and those guys were stacked up. They were definitely not the normal BLM agent. And if you look at the videos of the gear they were wearing, the way that they worked, that's not your average BLM guy. And,
what title do you think they put on the ranchers like 20 years ago, before terrorism became a keyword? I'm sure they'd have something to call the people before terrorism.
The government would?
They like to put the label of terrorism on somebody who fights for liberty, is a patriot.
They like the terrorism label for anybody who stands up to them. And anybody who stands up to the tyranny, I mean, we are under a state of tyranny. I mean, these people have sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution and aren't doing it. They're liars. I mean, and they're full of them. Harry Reid's another one. He's a liar. What I like to do up close to him is give a punch in the chops, to be honest with you. The way he treated that family, you got to be kidding me. And then he has the audacity to say something like that to them. I mean, you got to be kidding me. If he showed up at their door, knocked on their door, and they'd allow him in, he'd come in, they'd want to feed him dinner or lunch or breakfast, whatever it happened to be. They are the most gentle people, and I know a lot of people. They're among the most gentle, if not the most gentle family I've ever met in my life. They are just a remarkable family. But you don't see that because they want to portray a picture of, oh, he's taking your tax money and robbing you. I mean, that's pretty funny if you think about it, hearing that from somebody in Washington. I mean,
right.
Really? Yeah. I mean, who are the thieves? And I think Mr. Bundy's complaint and his thought process for coming up with his decision is entirely accurate. I think he's on justified ground. I think if he went to that court with a fair court and he had independent ranchers or independent citizens as a jury, I think they'd find in favor of him and probably award him a lot of money.
I agree with you. All right, well, I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for being here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
God bless, and happy Resurrection Day to you and your audience as well.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so
well,
much.
you're part of it. You will know. We're all in it together.
Yeah, we are all in it together. It doesn't matter what party. I mean, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. We're Americans. Before we're anything, we're American citizens. When I joined the Marine Corps and they oathed me in, I had to swear to uphold the Constitution. They don't de-oath us when we leave, and they didn't say, okay, you're going to swear an oath, but you're going to only support the government or Democrats or Republicans. There's none of that. It's every citizen. They can make their own choices. It doesn't. We're not rulers in this country, and we need to allow people to have the freedom to make up their own minds. It's not up to the government. It's like a Politburo in this country right now. I cannot believe how out of control it is. and our government is truly lawless. I would recommend everybody get their dictionary out, look up the definition of lawlessness, and then look at what our government does. I mean, from the healthcare thing, and I'm not just picking on President Obama. I mean, the Bushes behind were just as guilty of it. Yeah, and it's both parties. And we're here to say, I'm from New Hampshire, the granite, there's a lot of granite in that country, and the live free or die state. We're here to put a line in the granite because we're not moving. The sand, when you draw a line in the sand, somebody can shuffle it out and it can go away and move. This line is not moving. And there are other ranchers and other farmers and other small business people who the government is persecuting. I tell you what we're going to do is we're going to have a force out there that's going to be able to respond to those people. And not just the Bundys, but there are a lot more stories. And we want the American people, the American independent American, to be able to stand up, be able to do their business, walk down the street, play with their kids in the creek without the fear of the government, operate their business without the fear of the government. And we're here to bring that back. And we will do it across this country. And that's one of the things we're in the process of doing, is setting a force up that would be able to support that. A legal force. Because we're not a shoot first guys. We're not, plus that'd slaughter us anyways. But it just wouldn't be right. But we are here, and we are a force to be reckoned with. There's a lot of talent in this group. Outstanding, thank you. Right, thank you. Our armed citizens have stood up to the federal government, backing down because of their breaking of their oath on the Constitution, and to protect private citizens and our citizens' right to run their business.
Yeah, going back to the terrorism word, I bet they would say it was a cult. Like Waco, you know, they try to turn it into like a Waco.
Oh yeah, well we were prepared for that. I mean, believe me, a lot of us watched what happened in Waco, but you know, the first thing they do is they say, oh, it's a cult and now it's a terrorist, or you know, they're out here having sex with kids or some stupid thing like that, because what they want to do is they want to win in the court of public opinion. And the federal government's got the largest smear operation in the world. And that's what they do, is they come out and they attack your credibility. And the thing is our credibility is pretty good, all of us out here. We're paid our own way. We've asked nothing of anybody. Matter of fact, like I said earlier, we've got at least 5 or 6 of the people out here have lost their jobs and they're not going to leave, so they're going to stay. Now with no employment, they've left their families. We had one guy who headed out the day before his baby was to be born, his first baby, but it was so important that he came here anyways. And I mean, there's a million stories out here, and all of them are wonderful. They're a testament to the people.
We covered the foreground really fast, about 1836, how the Bundys...
Well, it was actually right around, and I may have the date wrong, but it was about 1878 or so, when I think it was like about 5 generations ago. But Mr. Bundy, in that day, what he did is when he came out here and settled, because the government used to try to get people to settle these vacant land tracts, and they'd offer them things to get them to settle it, because nobody was going to really come out here right away, because it was still Indian territory to a point. So what he did is he bought the land rights, the grazing rights to 600,000 acres of land that surrounds his 160-acre parcel that he actually owns completely. So, and that way forever, once they paid that fee, they'd be able to graze their cattle out here. That was a one-time pay thing. What happened later on, and I don't remember if it's in the 40s or what, but when the BLM was established, the BLM came in with a whole new idea, is that now we're going to charge you per head to graze the cattle on this land. The Bundys, they're a very gentle people, didn't fight it, so they thought, okay, well, if they're going to handle their end of it and go ahead and maintain the land to a point, and because they're really conservationists, the Bundys, and that was the job of the government, to take care of that conservation portion of it, which the Bundys were good with, is back in that day, but the federal government, the BLM, didn't do that. They did it for a while, but then they quit doing it, and then it was just taking the money, and they wouldn't do anything out of it. So the Bundys eventually got tired of that, and fed up with it, because they were really conservationists, and then what they did is they wrote a letter to the BLM, fired them. So then after they fired them, then the BLM started a legal battle. They started going back and forth. But when Mr. Bundy fired him, he also contacted the state of Nevada and said, oh, we'll pay you to do that. If you do that job, we'll pay you. It wasn't about paying the money. It was about them doing what it was they were getting paid for. Just like if you hired somebody to wash your car, and they took it out four-wheeling, and then brought it back and your stereo was missing, it was all muddy, are you going to pay the bill? And you're going to fire them. and that would probably be the least of the things it would do. But so Mr. Bundy, after he fired him, and then contacted the state of Nevada, but Nevada wouldn't take the money, so he just did all that work himself. In essence, actually, the state of Nevada maybe should have paid him, or the federal government, BLM, should have sent him a check each month for what he was doing for the land, because they did remarkable stuff out here. And that's where this is all stemming from. That's why when they get out and they say he owes $1 million, or it started out 300,000, the first numbers I heard, but it's been up to $1.1 million or something like that. And I don't buy the government story, because they do a smear campaign on him. Anyways, they've got to make him look really bad, his family look really bad, say he's rich. Their house doesn't even have the siding finished on it. It's not even complete. If you go inside of it, it's it's a loving home. I got to tell you, they're the kindest, gentlest people you'd ever meet. But it's not an upper class home. It's a little ranch house with a whole family in and out of that thing all the time. Cowboys with the cowboy boots or spurs, a 6-gun on their hip, or some of them have little automatics in there they carry as well, because they're out on the range with rattlesnakes and such, riding their horses up. I mean, it's an American Western story.
Last of the West.
It is the last of the West, and they're the last one in this county, the last cattle ranch, because the BLMs run the rest of them out of business and then bought them off so that they can do whatever it is they want. There's another guy up in northern Nevada. They're doing the same thing too, which is probably where we'll head next. And there are stories like this, like I say, all around America. We need those people who are in those stories to contact us so we can set up and see if we can help them out too, because they're worth helping out. I mean, they're the ones who feed us when you're having a barbecue in your backyard by the pool, right? Is that what might be Bundy beef you were eating.
Yeah, for sure. So go ahead and repeat where people can get a hold of you from if they want to find out where you're going next.
Well, they can get a hold of me. Actually, I'm through Oath Keepers, so they can get it. I'll give my email. It's Jerry, Jerry _ Sensei SENSI at yahoo.com. They can Facebook me. I'm at Facebook, and just use my name and you'll find me. And any of those areas to be able to find me. We're taking donations, whatever we can, to help break the burden of all these people out who are spent. I mean, they spent a lot of money out here. You imagine dropping to work for a few weeks, paying the money. I mean, we drove 2,700 miles. We've got other guys who drove 2,000 miles as well. We've got guys from Georgia here, and God bless them all. I mean, God bless every one of them, because there's nothing in this for us to profit by other than preserving the republic, or trying to reclaim the republic, because I think the federal government has crushed the republic, but we can reclaim our republic and the freedoms for you and for me and for the rest of America. And it's a fight worth having. And I tell you what, there's a lot of former military here that the government spent a lot of money training, and they're willing to be buried here. I've had that conversation with these people. I have it with them all the time, especially when the new people come in. If the government comes down with overwhelming force, we could all end up dying here, and they're willing to die. And we will not fire the first shot. That's not what we're about. We're not going to war. But I tell you what, when a guy comes at you with a knife, if you have a shotgun and you aim at him, it's going to stop him, at least make him think about it. And that's what we're at. That's where we're at. We just want the government to stop, think about it, and then we're hoping that the court of public opinion, that people will not buy the mainstream media's mouthing of or parodying of the government story, that they'll actually, as you two did, come here, find out the actual truth from the boots on the ground, and then report that back and let the American people make their choices.
Exactly. That's what we're here for.
And thank God. God bless you both.
All right. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
The pictures, you think you can just snap?
Yeah, they got my phone in here, so we'll do that.
All right.
Ready to back the federal government off. He just hasn't done his job.
And we're talking about Gillespie?
Gillespie,
The
yeah.
sheriff.
And my understanding is that the Gillespie, what happens is the sheriff's departments get all kinds of grants, come down through the federal government, and the federal government gives grants to everybody, right? And that way, if they say something that's contrary to what the federal government wants them to say, they threaten them by pulling the grants. So they've got big strings around him, so they can dance him around over the federal grants, and it's too bad. I mean, because his obligation is really to the Bundys on this case. He should be down here with his deputies. I talked to one in Indiana who was just out here, a sheriff, and he said, he goes, you know what? If this was happening in my county, I'd have deputies around you guys protecting all of you. And that's what needs to happen. That's when the sheriffs are actually doing their job. Because the Bundys have broken no laws as far as where they should be after them, try to arrest them. If they wanted to arrest the Bundys, Cliven has said, just drive up to the house and serve a warrant on me and I'll go with you. But what happens is the federal government wants to teach Americans a lesson, and which they've done in the past. Don't stand up to us or we'll crush you. Well, we're here to tell them you better have a big foot to crush us, because you're going to end up with splinters in your feet. You know, you might get us, but you'll at least know we were here. So that's my feeling on the sheriff. I've never met him, so he might be a really decent guy. But you know, sometimes politics takes really decent guys, and it causes them not to do their job.
But he hasn't been out here to speak to anybody.
No, I haven't seen him. Never met him. Wouldn't know him if I met him. I mean, and that's a shame. I mean, same thing with Harry Reid, the other state representatives, and that, or especially of this county, the congressmen, the senators. Where are they? Why aren't they out here? We've had representatives from other states. We have from Utah, and we've had some other ones, I think, from this state that have come out and given their support. Sheriffs from other states, and there's a line of them that are going to come out here and show their support for this, and for the Bundys too. I mean, because it's not the focus isn't really on us. It's the Bundys and the rule of law, which the federal government, and they're using the BLM as their big stick to beat them, are breaking the rule of law. They're lawless, and so. There's a lot of support out there. It just doesn't happen to be a lot by the elected officials in this particular state, in this particular county. But there is a lot out there. The people, they had a little party down there. So last night, the night before, Canal swings into one. Must have been the night before, and there had to have been in support for a fundraiser for the Bundys. There must have been at least 3,000 or 4,000 people down there. It was crazy. There's a big name band who I don't know because I'm old, but they played really good, and they get a shout out to all of us from New England, which was pretty cool. I turned around, I was like, oh yeah, man, and all those people were friends of the Bundys, supporters of the Bundys. I mean, and if you go into the community, the Bundys know everybody. There was a local law enforcement officer that came. My son was going into Walmart or something like that, and he started walking up to him. My son's going, boy, I hope this isn't trouble. He's thinking, right? Because he was alone. And he walked up to him, and he saw the New Hampshire plates, obviously, on my truck. And he walked over, and he goes, I want to shake your hand. And as he shook his hand, he gave my son a hug. And he goes, thanks for what you're doing. I mean, those kids, that officer's kids, if he's got them, go to school probably with the Bundys. You know, they're friends of the Bundys.
I'm sure they know him personally.
Yeah, and this is really, I believe, probably the biggest story in America in a long time.
For sure, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and it's not because of us. It's not our hand guiding it. You know, I really believe it's divine intervention, and because everybody here was moved like in a nanosecond to come. And there's something going on here bigger than us for sure, and we just, you know, we're a part of it. Obviously, we're that little spoke in the wheel, but the story isn't really about us. It's truly about the freedom, the system that is broken in America. We're running on a flat tire, and you can't steer the car, so we need to pull the car over, pull that tire off, and put a new tire on it so we can get moving again. And the American people, if they're willing to get off the computer or get up from that baseball game, because we'd like all the people in America to rally to come here, and we'd like to have 5,000 people here, and it doesn't matter if you have a gun or not. I mean, if you want to just come, we've had people come who are completely unarmed, don't know anything about firearms, and they stayed through the worst of it that we went through about a week ago when we thought any time we were going to be attacked, and they stayed, and I had to ask them if they wanted to leave. They go, no, we're not leaving, we're with you guys. And so anybody can come and would welcome them as long as that they're fair-minded American citizens, you know. And because we're not lawless, we don't want anybody here who's got any intentions of breaking the law. We just want people, in fact, we want to help to restore the law, and that's what we're welcoming. And that could be families and that story about you heard that story about Sheriff Mack, what he said about putting the kids out in front of that. That's really hogwash. I think whatever happened, he was having a bad day, but that's not what we're about. We're really about protecting them, and that's not us speaking on that one.
I've heard that they volunteered to go in the front lines, like the women.
I talked to some of them who went, and they didn't volunteer. They charged to the front.
There was
no plan there. They went to the front. I talked to them, and they were right in the muzzle, and they were just going, well, that's it. If here we go, here we go. Mm-hmm. And that is the courage. That is the spirit of America. And God bless them. I mean, they're soft-spoken and they're loving people, but you know what? They've got character and they've got integrity, and that's in faith, and that stands up against all the guns the government has, all the illegal laws they pass on us, and it far outweighs them and out-trumps those things that the government does. They try to intimidate you, so you're afraid to say anything, you're afraid to go out in the public and say anything, or you're going to lose this, or you're going to lose that. Well, we say, you know what? Go ahead, take it. If you think you can take it, Mullen Lobby, come and take it.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
That DVD I gave you was on here.
I just saved it to your.
Okay,
click save it.
You know what you're doing, so go right ahead. I push buttons, I get in trouble.
So this is a ditch where?
That's right back behind where the BLM headquarters was, and then their staging, probably about 30 yards back of it, off the flat. It's right behind it. I mean, if they fired a gun there, everybody there knew it. I mean, it had to be obvious to everybody when they dug that grave. Everybody who
How did
worked
you
there.
find them?
Used to be, I think it was a lead man or foreman for the Bundys. They both knew where it was.
Are those names okay on here?
I wouldn't put them on yet because I haven't asked them
All
about
right.
it. But
We'll
I would
figure it
say,
I'll just show the video.
yeah, some locals. But
You can see.
I knew where this was, and I knew where the. But once they pulled out of here, I was hoping that we'd be able to get
See
into
the
it.
legs?
Yeah. Yep. And there are more cattle in there with just that one.
Oh, yeah,
Well, we don't know. They didn't finish digging it out. I think that was enough.
Right.
We got 4 out of there. I think
Yeah.
there was 4 that while we were there anyways.
Yeah, they only had the excavator for a little bit of time. There's still some of the just giving birth, or were giving birth in the process to their calves for the season. And what happened is when the BLM came in and disturbed them all with their contractors running the cattle out, the calves got separated from their mothers in many cases. And when that happened, is the calves. I'll toss something.
No, go. No, you can keep
What
talking.
happened is the calves got separated from their mothers, and then either they took the mothers or the calves, and when they pinned them, they put the calves in pins with the water bucket. They had water for them, but it was too tall for them to be able to reach, so they'd die there trying to get the water out because they couldn't get the water. And the mothers were left out alone with no calves to have the milk drawn off of their udders. Is the cows are kind of get a poison. I forgot what it's called. There's a name for it, and that can kill them. So you can see the cows out there wandering around. I've seen them looking for the babies. They can't find them, but the bunnies would go out and pick up the loose calves and try to nurse them back. But they lost a few of them, and a lot of the calves would die out there because they didn't have their mom around to suckle on. So thank you, God bless you. We're praying for you. Thank you. And it's it's just it's amazing. The people out here are amazing. I love them. Once it's so darn hot and so arid, I might think about moving here because I do love them.
I'll lighten this up in a second.
Yeah.
It's dark
Okay.
because of the shadow, but you're gonna see a cow's face in this video. If it wasn't outside like this, you could probably already see it.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to see it.
There it is, right there.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah.
It's beyond sick.
Yeah, it's disgraceful.